In this video, I'll be taking you to Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, specifically to the beautiful colonial city of Merida. The Yucatan region of Mexico is full of incredible sights like ruins of ancient Mayan cities, beautiful cave-like cenotes which are like sinkholes to underground rivers, charming small villages, and so much more. Merida makes for a fantastic base to explore all the peninsula has to offer, and today I'll be talking about a long-standing cycling tradition in the city called Biciruta. Merida happens to be one of my favorite cities in the world, and I've been fortunate enough to come here many times. My first visit was over 10 years ago, and Biciruta was already a popular, well-established program. It is Merida's version of open streets, where the main roads in the historic city center are closed to traffic and open to pedestrians and cyclists. I'll show some of the highlights of the route and discuss why Biciruta is a great way to spend a Sunday morning in Merida. Biciruta started in 2006 and has been going strong for 20 years now. I've ridden it on a number of occasions over the years, and what I really love about it is how much participation it gets. Hundreds, if not thousands of people take to the streets from 8 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. every Sunday to join in the fun. It's popular with locals and tourists of all ages. Some folks bring their own bikes, but there's also a huge bike rental set up along the route on Paseo de Montejo at Calle 45. The neat thing is they don't only rent bikes, but also these 4-person cycles, which provide a bit of shade from the sun. There are other strange contraptions too, like this recumbent plastic thing that probably doubles as a boat. Merida also recently added this bike share program, although I haven't used it. Leave a note in the comments if you've used these bikes. I'm sure some info on them would be useful. Besides cycling or walking or rollerblading, people also come to the events surrounding Biciruta, like bands and DJs that set up sound systems along the route. The Biciruta route is relatively short, spanning only about 7 kilometers through some of the most popular areas in Merida. The northern end of the route is the Fatherland Monument on Paseo de Montejo. It is one of the symbols of the city, built during the mid-20th century, and is decorated with symbols of Mexican history and culture. It's one of the popular spots to stop for a photo. Heading south, the route of the Biciruta heads along the iconic Paseo de Montejo, which is a wide boulevard lined with opulent buildings from Merida's Gilded Age. It is often said that at the turn of the 20th century, Merida had more millionaires per capita than any other city in the world. Much of that wealth was created from the plant nicknamed green gold. Local plantations planted, harvested, processed, and exported a plant called henequen, which is renowned for its strong fibers that were used for making rope. Ultra-wealthy plantation owners built European-style villas up and down the paseo, with many of them housing museums, hotels, and fancy restaurants today. After coming to the end of the paseo, the route takes a turn on Calle 49 before continuing down Calle 60, one of Merida's main streets. I'm a huge fan of the way cities are organized in Mexico, with a strict and predictable grid. Odd streets go east-west with higher numbers in the west, and even streets head north-south with higher numbers in the south. This makes navigation super simple. The route continues past shops, restaurants, and Parque Santa Lucia before ending up in the heart of the city in front of the cathedral. Merida is nicknamed the White City because the Spanish used white stones from Mayan buildings to build much of the buildings in town. The oldest colonial building in Merida is just around the corner from the cathedral along Merida's central square called Plaza Grande. The building is called Casa Montejo, which, like the Paseo, is named after Francisco de Montejo, the Spanish conquistador who conquered the Mayan city called Teo in 1542 and named his new city after Merida in Extremadura, Spain. Today, Casa Montejo is a museum which is free to visit and has several rooms full of artwork and antiquities. Many of the other colonial buildings in the square can also be visited and have small museums inside them, mostly free of charge. There is a tiny bit of the Biciruta left after the central square. Riders must walk their bikes through a busy food vendor area before riding a few more blocks to the southern end of the route in Parque San Juan. At this point, I turned around and headed back north, but there is one more branch of the route left to explore. This one splits off from the Paseo Montejo at Calle 47 and heads to Parque la Plancha. This is one of Merida's newest parks and is full of interesting architecture and man-made lakes. The park was built as part of the Mayan train project, if I'm not mistaken, and features lots of green spaces and several miles of bike lanes. The park begins just outside Merida's old central train station, which has been converted to an art school in recent years. There used to be a simple train museum here, but the park project reimagined the museum as a more immersive multimedia experience. There are still some old trains forming part of the new museum, including the entrance, which is through a rail car, and this restored steam engine on the inside. The rest of the museum's old rolling stock was sprinkled around the park. I was happy to ride a few extra loops checking out the different rail cars, some of which appeared to be from railroads far away. One strange thing about this park is it has rather high security, and on my first visit I was told to put my camera away unless I signed a bunch of paperwork. Either way, it is well worth a visit, and there are several nice restaurants and bars inside which fill up in the evenings. That's pretty much it for the route, but let me share some practical information about riding it. The route is short, easy, and completely flat, but there are a few small challenges. Merida can be very hot, even in the mornings, so wearing a hat as well as sunscreen is highly recommended. Bringing lots of water is also a must. The Biciruta route is close to traffic, but cars do cross the route at intersections. There are lots of people working at every intersection to direct traffic, so just follow their directions when they ask you to stop. I've only ridden the Sunday morning version, but it is also held on certain Saturday nights for those who want to cycle after dark. It's also worth noting that the route does change a little bit from time to time. For example, I saw at some point it went a little further south into Parque de la Ermita, but that wasn't the case this past March when I went. If you find yourself in Merida on a Sunday, I highly recommend sourcing a bike and joining in. That's it for this short video, but I'll have lots more to share on the Yucatan in the near future. I recently did a longer trip here that will be the subject of an upcoming video. Stay tuned for that, and as always, thanks for watching.